Hello, welcome to another video. Happy Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this week of uploads. It's been busy uploading every day, but I've liked it and I hope you've liked it as well. But 5 days of uploading, I don't even know if you will have noticed, but this is my 5th day in a row of uploading, so I'm really getting back into this properly now. Hooray! Anyway, as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm bringing you my best books of the year, my top 8 of 2018. I did 10 for worst, but what I've done for my best books, because I was so strict with giving 5 stars throughout 2018, this list is just my 5-star books. Every book I gave 5 stars in 2018, and there's only 8 of them. Of all of the books I read, of the 62 books I read, these 8 were the only ones to get 5 stars from me, which means I really liked them, obviously. So I thought I would bring to you what they were. I'll start from my first 5-star read of the year through to my latest, and just tell you why I liked them, really. My first 5-star read of the year is one that I've actually spoken about quite a lot in a few videos, one relatively recently, and I always mention that it was my first 5-star read of 2018, so it must be good. And that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I absolutely loved this book. It was when I was initially getting into polar fantasy. It was one of the first few polar fantasies that I read, and it is the only adult polar fantasy that I've read, and it's kind of on the brink of polar fantasy. It's based on Russian folklore and it follows this family who live kind of on the outskirts in a little village. The main girl can see like the demons, and the demons are based on Russian folklore, and her father remarries a woman who is really against these demons and can also see them but sees them as these horrific things, whereas our main character sees them as kind little things and she kind of feeds them, but her new stepmother is like, well, no, you're a witch. And things kind of get a bit wild. I loved this so much. The setting was so fantastic. For me, the pacing I loved how it built, but I can understand how some people might think that the beginning of this is a bit slow, and I can see where people would come from saying that it's a bit confusing to start with, because you're learning about the family dynamics and who's related to who and who is, and their nicknames, because their real names are really long, so they all have nicknames, so you kind of are getting to grips with how the family tree works at the beginning. But when the story gets going, and it was phenomenal. I loved it so much. Can't recommend it enough. Really need to read the second one soon, because the third one comes out really soon. But yeah, first 5-star read of the year, I absolutely adored it. The second 5-star read of the year for me is a Diddy one, and that is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. It still astonishes me that such a tiny book can have so much packed into such a tiny thing. I mean, how many pages is this? 169 pages, this book. It's tiny. And going into it, I kind of thought, how could a book this tiny have enough development and growth and proper character arcs and stuff? But oh boy, it does. I think that's just a testament to Shauna Maguire's writing, that despite the size of this, it's got everything in it. Everything and some. This is about children who go away to worlds like Narnia and then come back, and how they deal with the being back, and whether they want to go back to their world or whether their world was really cruel, or however that works. So it's like the after story when they're back in the human world. But it had so much more than that in there as well, and this book took me by surprise completely. I fell in love with it. As soon as I finished it, I ran it to my mum and was like, read this, it's so good, read this. I don't want to say too much about it, because I feel like the reason I loved it so much is because I went in fairly blind, and so much of it took me by surprise, wasn't expecting it, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Loved the characters. Lots of representation in here as well, so if you are after that, there's plenty of it in there. But yeah, I loved this and completely recommend it. And the sequels were really good as well. Not quite as good as this one, but I gave the sequels both 4 stars, and the next one's coming out pretty soon as well, which I'm really excited for. Third 5-star read of the year is another one that I just go on and on about constantly, and that is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I feel like I never shut up about this series because they are amazing, incredible. Oh my god, bury me with this book. I love it. This series has an immense potential to be my favourite, like, ever. This book, I think, could be my favourite book of the year. Obviously all of these are 5 stars, so these are all my favourites, and I don't want to rank them in any order, but this book is so good! I love Lainey's writing. It's so magical and immersive and lyrical, and I love it. It's so good. The characters in this, oh, I love them. I love Carew. Like, I really love Carew. So this book follows Carew, who in her sketchbook draws these characters from another world, and then you find out that this other world isn't imaginary at all, but is in fact where she was raised and where her family is from, or the closest thing she can call family. Just a whole lot of magic stuff happens, and I loved it so much. I don't want to say anything more than that, but there are creatures and magic, and it just makes me feel many a thing. But I love this book so much. I don't think I need to keep saying that because I go on about it plenty, but just know that I love it. The 4th 5-star read of the year for me was Charmcaster by Sebastian de Castell. This is the 3rd book in the Spellslinger series. I love this series so much. Me and AJ are now buddy reading the 4th one, which we were supposed to do for the Magical Readathon at Christmas, and then we didn't. But super excited to continue with it. I love this. I love these characters. I love the hijinks and the action and how humorous it is, but how much is going on. Like, it just feels non-stop, and I love it. Love the world, love the magic, love the politics and the mystery and everything. I just feel like these stories are so engaging. The writing might not be as lyrical or as beautiful as some of the others, but I can't, when I start reading a book in this series, I can't stop, I can't put it down, because the story, the plot is so intriguing, it just sucks you in, and I'm there for the rest of it. So, I love this, I gave it 5 stars. Super excited to read Soulbinder with AJ, and then the 5th one comes out in like May, I think, so not too far off, but I love this series a lot. And I don't think it gets enough recognition because I genuinely believe the series is fantastic and not enough people read it. Just to summarise what this is about, because I realised I didn't do that, the first book follows Kellen as he's turning 16, and in his community of mages at 16, a young mage takes his mage's trials. One problem for Kellen is that he's lost all of his magic. He meets a woman called Ferius who might be able to help him out by teaching him a few tricks of her trade, and adventure ensues. Fantastic. The 5th 5-star read of the year for me was City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. It's a Schwab book. Of course it's going to get 5 stars from me. I love her writing so much. I sat and read this at Jake's at my desk just in like 4 hours. Completely had demolished it. I mean, it's tiny and it is a middle grade, but I couldn't put it down. I was completely immersed. This follows the story of Cassidy, whose best friend is a ghost who can pull back the veil and see ghosts herself, as her family goes on a little trip to Edinburgh to film some sort of documentary that her parents are in, because her parents are like historians and writers who tell ghost stories, mixing the fact with the fiction, and she goes with them to Edinburgh. But she can actually see ghosts, and wild stuff happens to her, but this was so gripping. I love Victoria Schwab's writing. I don't think that's going to change. I just do. I have a complete soft spot for her. A Darker Shade of Magic series just made me fall in love with her, and she can do no wrong for me now. Like, I'm yet to read something from her that I haven't liked, so amazing, and I can't wait for the sequel for this as well. It was fantastic. It's Schwab. I can't really say anything more than I love her writing and her storytelling ability and the ideas that are in that woman's head. My 6th 5-star read of the year is one that probably I don't need to talk much about either, and that is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. It is the sequel to The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, so I can't tell you what this one's about because, spoilers, it's a sequel, but same things apply. The writing, the characters, the magic, the world, just so immersive. Absolutely love it. Can't recommend it enough. Read this series. The 7th 5-star read of the year for me was Vicious by Victoria Schwab. Again, it's Schwab. She is a queen. She can do no wrong. The words that come out in her stories are amazing. This book follows Victor and Eli, who in university were best friends and experimented with becoming extraordinary and were successful in that experiment. This kind of flits back and forth between that story of how that happened and 10 years in the future when they are now enemies and want each other dead. It's amazing. I love the contrast between it. Everyone praises this book for how morally grey the characters are and you don't really know whose side you're on. Like, you can see both perspectives, but who's right and who's wrong, really, because you get both sides. And that all applies, but I don't want to repeat what you've probably heard from numerous other people. But again, Schwab's writing, she can do no wrong for me. I absolutely love her, and I really need to read Vengeful. But it's a brick and I'm slightly scared of it. And then my 8th 5-star read of the year and my last 5-star read of the year was The Caged Queen by Kristen Cicarelli. I know there are some differing opinions on this series. I know a ton of people that hated The Last Namsara. I'm not one of them. I absolutely loved that book, and I loved this just as much. This is also a close contender for being like my number one. The first book follows Asha, who is a dragon slayer. This book follows Roa, who has kind of become queen. It's a companion, not a continuation. Well, it is a continuation, but following a different character, so companion / continuation. But yeah, this one follows Roa, who has become queen in certain situations. Like, she's kind of married someone for the purpose of becoming queen to bring a peace to her people. It's all very political in this one. Her sister died many years ago when they were children and has been trapped in hawk form as like her best friend. Her hawk, who is her sister, follows her around everywhere. And the catchline on this one is, what would you sacrifice for love? So this is a love story between sisters, and it's so sweet, and it's how she can like bring her sister back from being stuck in this hawk form, and it's fantastic. I love it so much. I love the writing and I love the world building in this. I love the way, like, it just feels like such a rich and cultured world to me, like the way the world's mythology is woven into the story, and I just feel like I know it so well, and I'm part of it, and I'm there, and I love that. The world just feels so real to me. I think it's fantastic. The writing is fantastic. I find them really easy to read, but also very beautifully written. So yeah, a love story between sisters. There is another romance going on as well, but it is about sisters. It's a love story about sisters. And I love it, and I love this world, and some characters from the first series do make appearances. It's all very political, big plot twists that I didn't see coming, but I was hooked. I loved it so much, and I'm really excited for the next one in this series, which I'm not sure when comes out, but I'm really looking forward to it. And there you have my top 8 of 2018, all of my 5-star reads of the year. I hope you have enjoyed. If you've read any of these and want to chat to me about them, please do, because I could gush about all of them. If you have any opinions that you want to share with me, chat to me down below. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed and fancy subscribing, I'm always eternally grateful for that. And I will see you next time, which won't be this week. Okay, see you later. Bye!